Why do so many adults raised in the 1990s look calm, yet carry a quiet, emotional static? What people call low drama is often just a generation trained to hide overload. Many of them learned
This
early
old thing still
that being
clicks.
independent made life easier for everyone around
Wonder
them.
what's on here.
So they became experts at entertaining themselves before
Still
anyone
buffering.
noticed they
It
were
reminds
alone.
me of the old
In
days.
homes where
Oh,
adults were busy,
just need a little
silence
patience.
often became the safest way to stay loved. An analog childhood also taught them that waiting was normal, not a personal rejection. They waited for dial up, for rides, for calls back, for answers that arrived slowly. That long waiting built patience, but it also made uncertainty feel strangely familiar. When plans changed without warning, many learned to adjust fast instead of protest loudly. So adaptability became a strength. And even when it was born from instability, they were often praised for being easy, mature, or no trouble at all. But children who look easy sometimes learn to bury needs before naming them. That is why many 1990s adults can handle loneliness, yet struggle to ask for help. Their strength with solitude does not always mean they feel safe inside it. They also remember a world before every mistake could be saved, shared, and replayed. So privacy feels less like a preference and more like emotional
Happy
oxygen.
to announce the
When
project's
life moved
completed.
online, they adapted, but part of
Just
them
the last
never
bill to clear
stopped
up.
guarding the door. They post, reply, and perform, yet often keep the real bruise off screen. Humor became useful because a joke can reveal pain without fully surrendering control. That is why irony often sounds warm, clever, and slightly armored in this generation. And their nostalgia is rarely about objects alone, even when old things trigger it. What they miss is the emotional tempo of a less interrupted world. Back then, contact had friction, and that friction made attention feel expensive. Calling one house phone meant timing, courage, and accepting who might answer first. So intimacy often became linked with effort, presence,
I have the
and
tea
a little
ready.
social
Please
risk.
come in.
Friendships were built through repetition, not just updates, likes, and fast reactions. You showed up, knocked, waited, stayed, and slowly became part of someone's routine. That is why sudden disappearance still lands harder than many people around them expect. Loyalty runs deep when connection was once built with time instead of convenience. Many were also sold a script of stability that real adulthood did not deliver. They grew up hearing about progress, then watched layoffs, debt, and family fractures. So skepticism arrived early, even inside people who still wanted to believe. They often work hard but trust promises less than their parents did. Missing one chance can feel huge to people raised during rapid cultural transition, so they overprepare, save backups, and keep emotional exit plans quietly nearby. Sometimes that looks organized, but underneath it is fear dressed as readiness. Their childhood joys were often simple, shared, and surprisingly low cost. As adults, pleasure can feel smaller because every
Good old
delight
noodles and
now arrives
games.
beside a bill. Rest
Been too
becomes
long.
complicated when responsibility keeps whispering through the background. Yet tiny comforts still matter deeply because they remember joy that did not require abundance. If this generation often lives between optimism and cynicism, never fully trusting either one, they were taught the future could open wide if they tried hard enough. They also saw how quickly systems fail, even when people do everything right. So they adapt fast, but relaxing completely can feel harder than it looks. Love is often approached with care by people who watch too many fragile bonds up close. Commitment matters deeply, yet the cost of choosing wrong feels emotionally expensive. Many test consistency before trust, not because they are cold, but because they remember collapse. A delayed text, a flat tone, a changed habit can feel louder than intended. They read small shifts quickly because they learned early that mood changes had consequences. That makes them perceptive, loyal, and then sometimes exhausted by constant emotional scanning. Many became caretakers long before anyone officially gave them that role. They could sense tension in a
You
room
haven't looked at the
before a
box.
single honest sentence appeared.
I
So they
I know
often
what's in it.
become the dependable friend, the steady partner, the one who notices. But being the one who notices everything can make personal burnout easier to miss. A achievement also became an emotional translator for many 1990s kids. Good grades, useful skills, or calm behavior often brought the clearest approval, so productivity can still masquerade as self-worth even on slow, ordinary days. They may rest physically while mentally auditioning for value in the background. Home means something unusually deep to many of them, even when home was imperfect. It is not always luxury they crave, but a place where the nervous system unclenches. Familiar objects help because memory can soothe the body before words explain why. An old song, a plastic case, or a faded notebook can reopen hidden feeling fast. Smell works the same way, because memory often returns through the body first. That is why certain rain, paper, or detergent scents can feel almost overwhelming. When they guide younger people, they often want to offer more softness than they had. But they also fear softness alone may not prepare anyone for a sharp world. So they balance tenderness with warning, comfort with caution, freedom with backup plans. Even their kindness often carries a quiet emergency instinct beneath it. Technology gave them convenience, but never fully erased the fear of missing something important. They remember both offline absence and online overload, so attention rarely feels simple. Social media arrived after much of their identity was already forming. That leaves many of them split between visibility fatigue and the wish to stay knowable. They usually crave authenticity more than polish, because polish without truth feels instantly suspicious. Marketing tones, forced coolness, and performative empathy are often spotted within seconds. What they trust more is humor, competence, steadiness, and emotional honesty without theater. Healing for this generation often begins late, after survival stops looking urgent. Once life gets quieter, old grief can finally step out of storage. What looked like toughness was sometimes just compression with nowhere safe to go. Beneath the composure, many still carry an inner child trained to adapt before asking. To understand people raised in the 1990s, you have to see resilience and tenderness together.